Good evening. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the June 16, 2026 Verona Borough Council Workshop Super Committee meeting. Please join me if you're able in standing for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call please, Mr. Russell.
Councilman Starling, present. Councilman Demelis. Present. Councilman Rodriguez.
Present.
Councilman Carpenter.
I'm here, present.
Councilwoman Rebzak.
Present.
Mayor Recupero.
Present.
Junior Councilman Moses.
Present.
Councilwoman Provenza. Not present.
She'll probably be here eventually.
Thank you. Are there any additional agenda items? Seeing none, we'll go on to.
Yes,
Yes, I apologize. Go ahead.
just add somewhere maybe for you, information on the finance report.
Very good. Registered comments from the public. Seeing none, we'll move on to general comments from the public. At this time, council will hear comments on public related matters. Please approach the podium or raise your virtual hand. Clearly state your name and address and try and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. We ask that comments focus on borough business, policies, or actions. We encourage thoughtful feedback on decisions and performance while maintaining respectful and constructive dialogue. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, guys. My name is Angelina McDade. I live at 413 Center Avenue. I'm here tonight not to complain, but to ask for your help in protecting the safety and peace and accessibility to my home. I want to say first that I love our community, born and raised, family, been here a long time. And I'm genuinely glad to see the local businesses thriving. A bustling neighborhood is a beautiful thing, especially in Verona. We've had a lot of down. But as the only resident on the lower half of the street that relies entirely on on-street parking, my home has swallowed 100% of the burden of that growth. Within the 2 weeks of the new restaurant opening, the space right in front of my door has become a hot commodity, as you all know. I've been blocked in several times. I've also witnessed almost some near accidents. People are using that alleyway, I think it's called Riverview Road or something, to turn around because they can't find parking. Also that empty lot where the dumpsters are. I've witnessed people coming up off of Allegheny River Boulevard, almost slamming people several times. My daughter copes with a painful condition where her joints are incredibly unstable and prone to slipping out of place alongside a severe chronic bursitis inflammation. When she has flare-ups, it can be really hard for her. She comes home from school crying sometimes because it's so painful for her. Unfortunately, because of medical policies, I cannot get her an official diagnosis of her Ehlers-Danlos until 18. It's medical. I have no way around that. Her bursitis is something she's dealing with also. So a handicap placard is not an option until she turns 18 in October. So I'm just asking that with the bottlenecking and the dangerous activity, I don't know if it's possible to have a resident only parking spot designated. Also, if we could put up some signs to say, you know, like no turn around or anything like that. It's become extremely difficult. I went shopping with my parents this weekend, got some stuff in the yard together, had to park all the way up the street and carry mulch down the hill. So I'm just asking, you know, that if you guys can work with me on something to make it a little bit more comfortable for me to stay in my home.
Would you tell us, you would like a handicap if it was possible?
If it was possible. Yeah, I can't do that until she's 18. Like I said, the criteria for Ehlers-Danlos is because she's a minor, you can still be considered hypermobile. Her joints slip out all the time. She's dislocated both shoulders, with the bursitis in her hip, it swells. So that's where, I mean, I would have easily went and got a handicap placard if the doctor would say yes,
Right.
but I can't.
When is she gonna be 18?
October.
October.
But you do realize though that anybody can park in a handicap
Yeah.
spot. That's the,
The other thing, the
Yeah.
other issue that I'm concerned about, especially with the snow, the instability, she can slip out. I mean, she's a cashier at Giant Eagle, her fingers dislocate all the time. Her wrists dislocate, so. Yeah, I'm just asking
Yeah.
for some assistance on that.
So, for the handicap placard, I used to process those at the state rep's office.
Mhm.
The requirements are pretty loose in terms of what categories would, allow you to get handicap placard. And all you need is a doctor's signature.
Well, that's
So-
what they told me no, because she hasn't had the official diagnosis.
Was this a general physician?
It's her orthopedic.
You could go to the family doctor, the general physician, and they could sign off on it. There's no requirement for what exact doctor
Okay.
signs
Yeah,
off.
we just follow up with ortho all the time because of her bursitis, so
Yeah.
they've been handling it.
So that might be a good route is the next time that you go to a,
Mhm.
you know, like just a yearly checkup or anything like that, or if you want to schedule one, they sign right off on the form and it gets submitted.
Okay, I didn't think PCP, like I said, because we generally follow ortho.
Yeah, PCP, anything. If you read on the back of the handicap placard application, it's very broad in what it covers.
Okay.
There's even things like, you know, walking 200 feet. I'm sure if you explain that to a doctor, you know, they make the final determination, but,
Yeah, ortho just told me no genetic, because she has to have genetic testing to get that diagnosis, they told me no also.
That makes sense.
but there's, because in front of your house, I believe it's painted blue, the curb is already
It's
correct.
from the previous tenant that
Yeah.
lived there.
So if that happens, we're more than happy to construct a sign that would allow for handicap.
wonder if we could, and I don't mean no disrespect, but if we could, you know, and I don't even know if it would be legal. Handicap resident, you know, with the sign, and under a handicap resident or something like that. You know what I mean?
They'll still park.
I understand it, but you know,
Try to deter it a little bit.
yeah, that's my feeling, you know, deter them a little bit. Maybe some will think, well, you know what, I'm handicapped, I'm gonna give them the respect, they live there.
Mhm.
You know, I'm just throwing it up.
No, and that's what I'm here for. I just
Yeah.
wanna work something out, you know?
Right,
Related to that, we are far away from this, but parking has obviously come up a lot recently. It sounds like you would be in support of a potential future resident parking permit.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I thought that was permanent parking anyway. But it kind of like stalled down.
Right,
Okay.
right. Regards to the trash, we will have.
I already sent an email to code enforcement, he's looking into it.
Yeah, it happens. It stays there for like a day or two. I mean, they generally are good about cleaning it up. I just don't want it to become.
Our code enforcement, but he's gonna take a look at it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's just because they just opened up, there's a lot more
Yeah,
garbage collection.
they need time to work things out.
Yeah, it's a persistent problem, but
Okay.
we'll see what we.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Isn't there like a temporary thing you can do? I mean, isn't like a PCP appointment like someone by themselves? So it's like by the time you do that. For 18, you know what I
For a
mean?
parking placard.
Yeah.
The form requires a doctor's signature on it.
You can't do anything
Or a
temporary.
police officer's signature, I'm pretty sure.
Can't do anything temporary.
No, there's no.
Do it for one, you gotta do it for all.
Also true. Are there any other comments from the public?
Anything online,
Online?
Jacob?
Not every kid's, no. Yeah.
I'm the same condition you have.
Still up.
Okay, with no additional, Any other comment?
I could give it to her though.
There's no other comments from the public. We'll move on with the agenda items. For tonight, first is council remarks. It looks like just me. I will start off first with a couple of notes and thoughts I wanted to share on behalf of council regarding agenda items and decorum. Well, first regarding agenda items, I think Jacob outlined this a bit at the last meeting, but we have been developing a better set of processes across the board for submitting items and keeping things moving and not losing track of requests and other items. We welcome feedback on this process, especially from council, as we continue to move towards a more organized and efficient system. Decorum. I wanted to comment as well, again, on behalf of all council, that our last council meeting, for those of you who were present, was a little contentious we think in part due to the temperature of the room, but also I wanted to comment that everyone will always be welcomed here to attend in person as they wish. We encourage that. We would suggest a couple of common sense measures. If you have family members that may require your attention during the meeting, please sit towards the back of the room so that you can more easily step out of the room if necessary. Similarly, if you happen to be hard of hearing, we might need to sit closer to the front. This often feels like school. No one wants to sit close to the front, but please, if you are hard of hearing, we want you to hear well. Please consider sitting a bit closer so that we can all exist in person in harmony as best we can. I also wanted to remind everyone to please minimize side conversations because after surveying all council, it seemed that the side conversations were actually the biggest distraction to those of us in the room. So a reminder to the audience as well as council, please minimize those side conversations. And if you do want to contribute, please utilize the microphone during public comment or council, just say you want the floor and we will make sure that we all give you our undivided attention. So that way we can hopefully continue to uphold decorum and be able to hear everyone and we will all be able to have a more peaceful meeting. Next is the vacancy application. As many of you may have heard and is indicated later on the agenda for this evening, we do have a council resignation from Councilor Timothy Long. We wanted to outline our process for filling this vacancy and we hope vacancies going forward, not just on council, but for all of council's boards, because you may also recall if you've been attending meetings lately, we've had a number of resignations across different boards. So
There's a sample in the back of your notebook under action items. If you want to look at it.
thank you. I will go ahead and share that on the screen as well. So this is our draft vacancy application that again, we're going to pilot for this council vacancy, but we hope for future vacancies as well as other board vacancies. So certainly if anyone has comments, Council Republic, we welcome feedback. The first page is pretty straightforward. Applicant information, contact information, residency confirmation. Section 2 is often what we receive, a bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving the borough. But I'd like to draw your attention to section 3, skills and experience. So with this vacancy, and again, with the future vacancies, I also surveyed the council and asked us to identify skill gaps rather than thinking of a specific person to fill this vacancy so that we can try to better assess where our gaps are and where our needs are and try to select a candidate that best fills those gaps as opposed to turning into what can be sort of a popularity contest. So for this particular vacancy, the feedback that council submitted was that we would appreciate anyone with a background in finances or legal to guide us through a number of things. Experience with construction and parks is helpful. Someone who is open to learning and training and will make being on council a priority. Someone who is enthusiastic to whatever committee they may end up assigned to, as well as the associated tasks. Someone who is capable of using data to help us make data-driven decisions and has the ability to research as well as do community outreach to solve problems. Someone that has a vested interest in our community and the people that we serve. Someone who's very professional with good mannerisms. A polite, at least most of the time, level-headed type of person. Council would also welcome any opportunity to give any minority or someone not currently represented an opportunity as well. So we have in section 3 a variety of skills or experience that if you have those, please check that box and share with us, as well as a section on your current involvement with the community, any projects or areas of interest that you may have in particular, complementary interpersonal strengths, which has been a big focus this year to ensure that we're working well together with one another. And any other skills or experiences that you would like us to consider. So for this and all vacancies, we'd appreciate it if you could let us know about your skills, especially given some of the things that we've highlighted in that summary that we will also include in the posting that we will put out probably tomorrow. Availability, obviously, we hope that you are available to come to the meetings. And the last section is optional supporting material. So if you wish, include a resume, cover letter, anything else you would like us to know. And Jacob put together a nice description of what our different boards are towards the end. Are there any questions or comments on that process from council?
We're gonna put this online.
And there'll be hard copies here.
Okay. For anybody who might be interested in filling that out
Yes, absolutely.
soon.
To spread the word because our hope is to appoint in July. Okay, great. Last but not least, wildlife management plan. We decided to include this as a comment rather than a new business discussion item because it has been brought up, at least to myself, by multiple constituents, as well as I'm sure to many of you as well, about some of our challenges with wildlife management, in particular deer. I know on more than one occasion, we've seen many sick or injured animals that can also resultingly end up also being a public safety hazard if they are injured on the road or on the side of the road. So I think the onus is on us to pursue a more responsible means of handling this this problem that we're having. And it's also been brought to my attention that Vermont is currently pursuing options to handle their wildlife as well. So I just wanted to suggest that we have Jacob reach out to Oakmont to join our conversations about what options they may be looking at to see if we could join in with them together and collectively develop a good solution. Are there any comments from council?
Or just, do you know anything more about Oakmont's plan?
I don't think they have a plan yet. They have discussed several options. So this would actually be an optimal time to join the conversation.
The idea of, yeah, I personally don't see bow and arrow or shooting as an option in a residential area. But maybe the thing where we do something with food that affects their ability to reproduce. Yeah, right. I guess that's an option, maybe.
We would all be supportive of those to be
Yeah,
an option.
yeah.
But my request today is just for Jacob to pursue joining these conversations and more information
Oh, okay.
to discuss.
So we're not discussing, okay.
If you do need anything, you can call me. We get calls from the police as well sometimes. Injured rabbits, raccoons, we handle them. I wouldn't ask anybody else to do it, but we do.
Can you say again which type of animals you are able to
It doesn't matter, you can call us for anything.
for deer?
We can, I have connections. I mean, I wouldn't touch it, but I mean, you know, we can guide people.
Great, and just for everyone's reminder, if the animal is deceased, like it's a deceased deer on the road, what does the public do?
Game commission.
Game commission, yeah. Usually, wildlife management plans require the assistance of the game commission. So it's gonna be a lengthy process, but they can always reach out to us for information. We can direct them. I can give them the number to the game commission.
Just add also that if you think it's got rabies because it's running in circles, it's usually either hit, you know, it just has head trauma. Don't panic and shoot it. Just relax and let us know.
Okay, great. Without any further comments or questions, we'll move on to 7B, council remarks with Dr. Krupner. You have a finance.
Yeah, real quick before you start with that, we had talked about, since we were talking about wildlife, the whole bird,
Yes.
you know, Swift, the chimney swift. They advised that they will give us a call when they're free, and they put us on the list, but they have other options too to teach us about other things. They're just extremely busy putting them up in other communities. So as soon as I get word, we'll, you know, we can, it's not urgent or anything, it's just something fun for the community. So I'll keep you guys posted.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have a whole lot to report. The information I have access to right now is our total income for the first 5 months of the year to the end of May. Our total income was 1.647 million. And our total expenses was 1.30 million. So our net income for the first 5 months of the year was $517,655.59. We always look good at this time of year because we've just finished collecting a lot of taxes. Eventually, as the year goes on, our expenses catch up. We will be working on a 6-month report to be reported on in one of the 2 meetings in July. I'm not sure which one. And then after that, we'll probably be starting the budget process for 2027. Does anybody have any questions? Okay.
Thank you for that update. I actually forgot something very quickly. If Tom is on, he will be annoyed. Tuesday, August 4th is National Night Out, and Tom Chief Vessel has invited council to sponsor some type of activity station or thing we could do together. Ideas are welcome. I was thinking perhaps an ice cream bar that we could serve, but ideas are welcome. Please make sure that's penciled on your calendar if it's not already. Hi, Sylvia.
Hi, my apologies.
No
I had a
problem.
contractor come, I had some work that needed done, he ran late, came late and made me late.
Don't worry at all.
I
The
apologize.
record reflect that Councilor Provenza is now in attendance. The second community event that council is involved with is, of course, our community dinner on Wednesday, August 26th at the Verona Methodist Church. Please just know that we will need you to attend for either the beginning or the end of that event, or if not, you're paying extra. If you have international travel, especially. And we'll be formulating ideas and so on and so forth. Mr. Russell, you had one other council remark.
Yes, so one thing that I'd like to bring up, Teresa who works as the admin assistant in the office, has experienced a family emergency. So her time will be pretty limited in the office for the next couple of weeks. So I do ask for people's patience when dealing with the administrative side. It's just me and her in the office. She's there part-time, I'm there full-time. So, it's going to be a lot of prioritizing different tasks, focusing on different areas. So we do really just appreciate any patience you can give us as we try to figure out a good system. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other remarks from council?
I just have a question. Do we know what we're gonna do for the dinner by chance? Or we talk about that later?
I was thinking hot dogs and vegetarian chili. What you got?
Oh, God.
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
Certainly open for discussion.
yeah.
Maybe go
I don't know. I have to think. We just wanted to know. I'll think about it and I'll contribute.
I love it, vegetarian chili, yum.
Yeah, that'd be a good option for.
I was also gonna ask this year if everyone could just bring a dozen or 2 dozen cookies reserved out of the off the church having houses.
We could probably ask Shirley, she would probably know more numbers and.
I think it's usually 150 to 200. But I'll confirm. Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you go
I was
first.
just gonna ask, what time will the community dinner be starting, do you know?
Yes, it starts at 4:30 until 6:30. So we usually have some people who have flexibility come earlier, help with setup, although Shirley largely spearheads it, but whatever they may need, and then have the group usually come to work. And stage racing, you're welcome for any of that.
Do you want to go next Wednesday with me?
I'll see if I'm available, so I'll get back to you.
Thank you. Any other remarks or comments?
Yeah, since this is our last meeting in June, I wanted to mention to everybody that the free Verona Garden Club Garden Tour is on Saturday, June 27th. It's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Donald and Sylvia will be passing out maps at the pavilion, probably starting a little before 10 o'clock. We have about 10 people on the tour. And then we'll be gathering at the community garden down at 246 West Railroad at 1:30 or so. So I just, wanted to make people aware of that. And also, I think that before our next meeting in July, yes, is the big 250th celebration. That Shirley has really planned mostly on her own. It's been quite amazing. And so let's all support her and the town by coming, and she's doing that from noon until 7 p.m. on July 11th, right here in Railroad Park.
Thank you for those reminders. There's no other council remarks. We'll move on to the next section. Section 8, old business, the employee handbook. All right, it's here.
Start on
Fine. Is there any background information, John or others who have worked to spearhead this want to add, just kick us off?
Well, Jacob and I were talking before the meeting. I know we had some questions on some verbiage. Particularly is, who, if there's one in there that about a supervisor. We're really, there's one word in there that really should defer back to the borough manager. So there's a couple things that we have to change as far as like, who we're going to defer back to as far as questions on certain items. The big item in there that we need to, I think, talk about is the leave policy. And whether or not we should mimic the FMLA or not. Now FMLA, if we're not required by law to be part of FMLA because we're under 50 employees. So when we're talking, so here's where, where we run into kind of a jam because we still have to make reasonable accommodations for people that have, are expecting a child or might have some sort of a serious health condition that they might need to take some time off for. Are we going to allow, or can we legally, are we supposed to give them 12 weeks? Or is that number going to be less? That's my question. I'm not a lawyer. That's something that we need to, I think, defer to the solicitor and perhaps, maybe even our labor attorney.
Yeah, so FMLA, we're actually not required legally to offer any sort of leave. However, I feel like the culture that we want to have here, maybe that council is kind of conveying is that if you have a extenuating circumstance, I don't know if it's the best practice to immediately look to remove somebody. So offering some sort of grace, I think would be good. I left a number of comments on it that we can discuss later in different sections.
Thank you. You used the word I like, which is culture, because obviously our borough is not always as competitive as similar sized municipalities with pay. So what I would really like is for all of our staff to say that it's such a wonderful place to work, and I really feel valued, appreciated, and the community is lovely. So if we are financially able to offer FMLA, even though we're not required, I think it would go a long way to help to build that culture.
The only thing that comes into play there is the stresses for manpower, because we're such a small
Right,
government and,
right.
if, one person can affect the entire operation, losing one person, for a borough this small.
Absolutely.
So, but again, we don't want to, we do want to accommodate people that have, something going on.
Yeah.
We do want to have that offering and be competitive too, so we need to make a decision, is what I'm saying.
Think
Right,
about this though. Some people do take advantage of that. They don't come, to work because they don't feel like it, so they use it. We have a very small town. That would be it's a lot to put on Tom, because he's gonna have to be in that spot. Really think about.
Well, see, his department's covered under, the.
Oh, are you talking about DPW?
Well, it'd be anyone not under collective bargaining. So it'd be, anyone that's under like a contract employee that's not under collective bargaining.
It's not under
So
him.
it's basically
Okay.
anyone else, that's not under,
Tom.
not under.
The police and the DPW department both
Yeah.
have contracts.
Yes.
So basically, in the handbook right now, depending on when you grow.
So it is for him or is it not?
Well, the way it's written is anyone under a collective bargaining agreement, under a union contract, the union contract supersedes what's in the handbook.
So is that a yes?
I guess, it would be a yes.
what was your question again?
Okay,
So
I just want to know because one's saying it doesn't affect him, one says it does, so.
look,
Who exactly does the apply to? What's it there?
it would only apply to non-union employees.
So then not the police.
No, this would apply to union employees. What we're saying is that if there's something in the contract, like the DPW or the police contract, that would go against what we're saying in the handbook. So it's saying if for our handbook, we're only offering a certain amount of leave for one of these circumstances. But it says something different in one of these contracts. The union contracts take precedent. They supersede whatever the employee handbook is saying. So anything else that is not defined, or maybe it's ill-defined in these union contracts, would fall under the employee handbook. And we would refer back to that. So it's not just like an employee handbook for myself, that.
I understand. I just wanted to see if it was included the police.
Are we good with page 1?
Yeah, I just forget I even asked.
No, that's a good question. So this is where you highlighted,
No, these are all mine. My comments are.
John, is this your highlights?
Yes.
Okay.
So we included volunteers, to be bound to, the borough rules. Whenever they're under borough. Yeah. Scroll down right there. That's just the acknowledgement of receipt of the handbook that we could give to the employees there. As you can see, the introduction there, and there's the at will, equal opportunity employment definitions, hiring non-union or non-uniform employees, anti-nepotism policy, anti-harassment and anti-discrimination policy, the ADA and pregnancy accommodations. There's an introductory period, personnel files, exit interviews, payroll and employment records. Then there's the work hours of compensation, work hours and attendance, overtime, pay period, errors of pay, timekeeping requirements. Keep going there.
Is there a significance of the highlighted areas?
Yes, those were additions.
Okay,
Those were the additions from the last handbook.
okay.
Limitations,
Got it.
stuff that we forgot to put in that needed to be put in.
Great.
There's a smoking policy that we didn't put in either. which in Pennsylvania law also says you're not supposed to be smoking inside public buildings. We had to put a smoking policy in too.
Okay, great.
Whistleblower protection, that's another one.
Yeah, just ask you something. With the pregnancy one, they are now doing stuff with people with menopause. Might be something you can think about. Ladies can say. I don't know, it's been on the news a lot, just, yeah.
Grievance procedures, disciplinary procedures. Nope,
What's the whistleblower part?
the whistleblower one is if you, you can't,
Fire.
well, you get, if somebody, if an employee of the borough find something egregious that another
So just
employee or
protect-
higher up has done and says, hey, that somebody did something.
Protect.
And that, yeah, it's protect.
Kelly, section 2 is a good example of that, distinguishing when the employee handbook and when a contract is. A lot of contracts, I'll speak very generally here. There's a very clear process for firing somebody when terminating their employment. So unless they have a contract, in place, this would, this is what we would default to.
And of course, at will employment except, and again, at will employment only applies to people that are not under a CBA.
Great. Do you want to walk us through part 1 as well?
This one? Okay. It says this handbook contains policies established by the Borough Council, and all personnel should be thoroughly familiar with its contents. While this handbook is comprehensive, not all situations can be anticipated, and the borough may have other policies, practices, programs, and benefits not included here. This handbook serves as a guide for management to ensure uniformity and non-discriminatory application of employment conditions. Questions should be directed to your department head or the borough manager. Or borough manager. Now, we have to change that too, by the way. We're gonna take out department head, we're just gonna defer to the borough manager, who has primary responsibility for the enforcement of this handbook.
Got
We're
it.
gonna change the wording on that. The policies in this handbook apply to all employees unless excluded by a collective bargaining agreement, individual employment contract, or civil service regulations. Where conflicts exist between this handbook and such agreements, the terms of the collective bargaining agreement, employment contract, or civil service regulations will prevail. And it says, and again, number 2 here, this handbook does not create a contract of employment. It's not a contract. Employment of the borough is at will for all employees not covered by a collective bargaining agreement, individual employment contract, or civil service. At will employment means that either you or the borough may terminate the employment relationship at any time, with or without cause or advance notice, for any reason not prohibited by law. If you want to go ahead on this one, we could go to the next section.
Maybe can we
Yeah.
read it all? I mean, not,
By ourselves?
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
just skim through, see if
You guys skim through. This equal opportunity employment clause here. Borough does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, including pregnancy, sexual orientation, and gender identity, national origin and ancestry, age 40 or older, disability, genetic information, veteran status, or any other status protected by federal, state, or local law.
So I'm curious why ancestry is highlighted and why it says 40 or older.
Well, ancestry was not included before, but ancestry means Yeah, ancestry could be, construed as, like, Native American.
Okay, and why, I was
I
curious.
don't know why I had it at 40. You know,
I would think that age,
Probably
just
for-
by
probably
itself,
for-
is
yeah.
sufficient, because
yeah, I don't,
some places might discriminate because you're too young. And other places might discriminate because you're too old.
yeah, I don't know
That's
why,
my job.
I don't know why that is there.
I mean, not here, I guess, I don't know.
I don't know why that,
It usually goes the other, like, you don't want to. You want to give even, usually deals with senior citizens, giving them equal opportunity.
Right, I understand.
One thing that I think, maybe that a change that could be is, the word employment, because earlier in this, we do mention that this is gonna be utilized for volunteers too. For ours, which is a comment that I made, that we should probably have a sort of contract or something for volunteers to sign. Once this is made available, that they have read and understand it, and are going to abide by any applicable sections within.
Yeah, on the next page. Choose which sections for volunteers.
Oh, yeah, the definitions. Yeah, well, one of my comments too was, to pare this down a little bit and make another section. That starts after the following sections. Minor detail about it.
we can fix that.
Yeah, we've had some great corrections so far. Let's keep going.
Okay, let's go down.
We read this on our own.
If you want,
I mean,
I
it's
just wanna-
just a lot of time we're taking
Yeah, really.
to go over this for.
A lot of pages.
It is a lot of pages, which is why it's been pushed back to this point. If council's okay with it, given the number of corrections we've made so far, we can table part 2 to our next workshop meeting, given that we have 8 ordinances that will require some discussion. Take no more than 15 minutes on each of those, that's already 2 hours.
the old one, remember, the old one was how many, this was pared down. The old one was, 100 something pages,
Hi there,
you know.
we're getting around.
Oh, yeah.
Got a horn on there?
Huh?
Beep, beep.
Yeah, a little.
I think too, this was why, I think you sent this out today. For
A new one today.
The updated version.
Yeah.
So to me, the idea would be for everyone to take an afternoon, when it's raining outside or something. And read the whole thing, make note of your comments. So when we come back together, we're not reading this for the first time.
For me, I just think the biggest one is the leave policy, just that we need to make a decision on. It. And we need to, we need to get that over to our solicitor. And we just to make it, so if we're not gonna have it as FMLA. We're gonna mimic something close to it. You know, what is that going to be? You know, we need to make a decision as a council. What are we going to do?
So do we want, is there anything in this section, part 4? Leave and time off. That you want to point out to us to look at and comment.
I would want you to look at FMLA. Where it says that took 12 weeks. It says the 12 weeks.
I don't leave, which section.
That would be,
It's 18, 19, 20.
if you could,
Here, it's section 23.
Yeah.
Family medical leave. that one.
yes. Now, I know we can't. Technically, we probably can't call it that since we're not. you know. We're just gonna call it our leave policy. Our official leave policy, but whatever that is, we need to make a decision what that's going to be for people that have, you know, some sort of life event where, you know, they have to step away for a while. That they have to take care of something, whether it's, you know, expecting a child, they have, you know, some sort of serious medical condition to take care of, that the job is gonna be there for them when they come back. You know,
Okay, great. So council, please continue to review the handbook in its entirety with particular focus on minimally section 2, which we will cover next time, as well as all the other chapters, but particularly the leave policy in section 4 regarding FMLA. We can go ahead and start making the corrections though that we came up with tonight. Are there any other questions or comments on what we've reviewed so far? Good kickstart of that review process. With all that being said, we'll move on to section 9, new business, item A. As mentioned by Councilor Carpenter, we will have our 250th event on Saturday, July 11th. We've been asked to financially contribute to the event.
Yeah, so when I went to the PSAB conference, which hosts a lot of boroughs from all around the state, this was a topic that was focused on the 250th anniversary of our country. You know, as I kind of mentioned earlier, us being so small, you know, we don't have a full-time Parks and Rec department. Some of them typically organize these events. So we do want to spotlight community events that kind of in a way take the place of, you know, what the borough would be organizing. Shirley's asked for a donation for this. She spent a lot of time, of her personal time, you know, invest in this, organizing it. So I suggested in honor of the 250th, we donate $250 to the event.
Why don't we just help her?
I think we are.
But that she wanted help or money. Why would we donate residents' taxpayer dollars when we can do it ourselves?
She asks for both, so we want to.
I mean, I heard her say either. She preferred to help. I spoke to her a few times, but nobody ever got back to her. She said.
Well, she indicated that there's some things she wanted to purchase to me.
Okay.
One of them being American flags to give out to people. And she said that it could either go through donating those or like just receiving straight funds. I think this is a way of kind of giving her a little bit more.
I think that would be great. I
what
just
she's
think
asking
we should
for.
all be there too. I just think the lack of.
I strongly encourage everyone to plan to really be there for as much of a day as you can.
And then may I just tell you, she just told me, 100 cookies. So.
If I could add to that, I will be giving her a certificate or, you know, recognition along with, I talked to County Councilman Nick Patolis, he's gonna make something up. And I will get in touch with Gamb's office also. See if he'd like to do something.
Great. Any other comments or questions from council? Okay, next item, the first with likely significant discussion. I should preface these items B through I. We are framing our discussion with wanting to achieve specific questions answered. So in council's packet, you will also notice that there are some questions in red following each of these items to help guide what we need to decide on before finalizing an ordinance to act. We also have a council member designated to lead the discussion on each of these. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes to help keep us on track, hopefully not to exceed 15 minutes. If we are to get through all of these, we can adjust our approach as we continue. So item B, Counselor Carpenter, discussion and possible action on a boat storage, marinas and residential port pits.
So I just volunteered to do this. I know you brought this up, Kelly. I'm not sure. I think you were, from what I understood from the last meeting, we're focusing on residential boats. But I'm guessing, did you? Right, so to me, there's a distinction between storing boats at a marina. Or storing your own personal boat in your yard. So in your notebook, there is I guess, a rough draft. I would say it's fairly rough. That our solicitor put together. I don't know where he got some of this information from. I'm sure he, found some other places that have boat storage. And when I looked it up and did some research, yeah, it's under action items toward the end there. It's the one right after that. Well, right after that application.
Is it recreation vehicles and trailers?
Well, if you look at the definition, this particular one, if you turn to the second page, it says recreational vehicle. And that includes what you just said, plus boats, wave runners, any watercraft trailers, quads. I mean, this is an all-inclusive kind of thing. I do know that there are other towns that have boats specifically in their ordinance. Hold on, let's let people.
It's five.
Toward the end,
5 pages after the red.
after the red in the back, between the back.
4th page.
Yeah, there's the application that Trish was talking about, and then there's the boat storage one. So, I mean, a lot of this stuff makes sense to me, what is in this draft. The draft ordinance. I am wondering though about the section 4 storage permits. It's quandary when you have permits like that, because they're a great way to control how you keep track of items in your borough. And you can, if the permit is like $10 or whatever, you get a little bit of money, but that's not really the purpose. But on the other hand, there's someone in our office with 1.5 employees that has to monitor all that and keep track of it. So I don't know how I feel about us having to permit these boats or trailers or all of that kind of thing. So I'd like to hear what other people have to say. It's in section 4.
What section?
Storage permits. So I'm not a fan of having.
I didn't know we were doing permits. I just.
It's a draft, so we can take anything out we want, we can add anything we
What
want.
does our ordinance say now?
We don't have one.
We have one, because I put it in place when I came on council. I'm taking boats off the street and in the yards.
Okay, well,
I mean, that's like our number one thing. We need to, that needs to get.
I know it does.
Fixed, so that's a problem.
yeah, but Kelly, when you first brought this up, did you research or find about storage
I see
information?
nothing.
It was almost like ever since we went, on the computer, everything disappeared. We had an ordinance on, because I also put that in place, cars parked on grass. I had a renter right next to me, 2 cars right next to me from here to the wall, and I got tired of looking at them. I keep my place nice, and I gotta look at 2 cars. We put an ordinance in that it either had to be cemented or paved. So then we did another ordinance on that.
So what I know about ordinances from pre-Eco 360 is that they are in the back room somewhere in a booklet. and they're labeled by the years. If you remember what year,
I don't remember what year.
or even close to it, I mean, it would require looking through that.
Why isn't it in the computer?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to do that. Whose job is that?
So
Like, who put all that in?
I can speak to this. So the process that we're discussing is called codification, which is when you take an ordinance that's voted on by council, it's resolution, policy, whatever it is, and it's formally stored somewhere, or making it a record, okay? The issue is, since about 2022, things were misplaced within Eco 360. It's not just a matter of even me uploading it into there. Codification is an entire process. We're actually a team, Eco 360 as lawyers. They look at what's written here, so like the post storage ordinance, they pare it down and they use plain language that, regular citizens, somebody that doesn't have a law degree, might be able to understand what it's encapsulating. It's a very, very arduous process of going back through the records, finding what has been said. And I will be quite honest, right now, we do not have the manpower to do it quickly. There's some things some ideas I have with the stamp grant. It can be used for some things like this, which I think might have even been the intention behind holding off on the codification, is to utilize grant money for it. However, it's a very slow process right now.
Let me ask you a question. Could you use volunteers to help you with this process? Like if we were to have, I know, Craig wanted us to have, I forget who works, he said, but he wanted us to have people to get that all together. I mean, I personally don't have any more time to give. So, but this is very urgent. This needs to be done.
Potentially, another solution, I said, through the stamp grant, depending on what council is going to decide. One of the suggestions is there are entire companies that just deal with scanning and organizing files.
Digitization, yes, of stuff.
We really do need something.
It's expensive, but it just, record has not been kept of many things, or a poor record has been kept. So it's hard for me to first find it and then go through the process.
Because when Stephanie was here, she said that she was gonna have the junior council people do all this stuff, which I don't know how that would be done, because I don't know how to do it. It seems very.
So last year was, I think it was Vince that found, there was the one with the building, Nancy, which one was it that Vince was, it said was one with the commercial buildings? I don't know, the one we were supposed to look at, there was two different ordinances that were conflicting.
Yeah, chapter 154 and chapter 174.
Yeah,
That's how I remembers the numbers.
yes.
And I think we
And we were supposed to make a decision,
Yeah.
and we didn't make, we ran out of time. And they're both an E code 360, and the one was was made, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, was in there.
I'm trying.
And then there was a new one made after that.
So that's also the process of codification. That's why Eco 360, you have to pay a fee for each ordinance you put in there. Their lawyers go through, they look for redundancies or possible conflictions and ask for some guidance on that.
So it sounds like for stamp phase 3, digitization is possibly the highest priority by council for that. Back to this ordinance. Are we saying that we want to confirm any prior ordinance related to this?
Well, here's the thing. On most ordinances, and I'll have to look here. I don't see it, but I know through my experience of working with ordinances that most of them, they put in a repealer. So if they do redo an ordinance, the repealer section says, by adopting this ordinance, you automatically repeal any older ordinances that had something to do with this. So the question we have to ask ourselves is it more time efficient and financially efficient to just pay the solicitor to redo an ordinance than it is to file for a grant and have volunteers in there for weeks and weeks and weeks looking through the ordinances since 1871. You know, so I think that's what happens sometimes, because, I mean, the things are in there, at least they are from the older times, because that's all they had, they didn't have
Right.
computers.
To get this to where we are now and nobody has noticed is just mind blowing to me.
We're at the 10-minute mark. In the last 5 minutes, is there anything we want to determine regarding this ordinance?
I know we want to put a repealer in there if we're gonna use this ordinance.
Basically, all we were speaking about is having boats.
In yours.
Yeah, and basically on the street if they're parked there, because I mean, you guys are making that road. You know, you can't have big boats everywhere.
Yeah, I think it states in here pretty clearly. It says, yeah, in section 3, part B, all recreational vehicles shall be stored either in an enclosed garage or rear yard of a private property behind the rear line of primary residential structure.
I would be in favor of just simplifying it and doing something like that rather than having some big gigantic legislation thing.
So like I'm saying, I would be for getting rid of the permitting part, section 4. Because that just complicates things a lot.
Eliminate the permit in section 4.
Yeah, section 4. If everybody agrees with that.
Yeah.
And that section goes on for quite some time. So we can eliminate that whole section. And then I don't know how much this addresses marinas, possibly a little bit in section 5, which I think he means to say accepted businesses. So we have basically one marina here in Verona. And it's been a mess ever since I moved here. And it would be nice to fix that up. And who was it that was telling me there was some kind of help where the guys would come in and take the boats? That wasn't you, was it, Jacob? Oh, yes, please expand on that.
So it's, it still need to be worked out with the business owner, but, from my conversations with some state officials, Fish and Boat would be willing to come in and spend a day helping with the paperwork of cleaning up some of these, so we take away some of the administrative burden on the business owner to do so. You know, then I think a deal could even be worked out with the scrap yard to scrap any abandoned boats, helping reduce fees.
I think that's the problem right there, the scrap. Nobody wants them, they're all fiberglass, other than the motors and maybe some metal in the boats. That's why you see a lot of abandoned boats with the numbers taken off them, because nobody wants them. I remember one time Don Kuhn from Kuhn's Towing. He hates towing boats because he doesn't know what to do with them. Because nobody wants them, no scrapyard to take them because they're useless. You literally have to cut them up and send them to the landfill.
Put them in a dumpster.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the last time I talked to Brian, it's been a while, like a couple of years at least. He told me he had to pay $150 a boat for them to come and take it away. And since the flood, he just hasn't had any extra money to do that. But I'm sure he'd be interested in what the Fish and Boat Commission might be willing to do. And by the way, I found the repealer, section 7 of it is the repealer. It just usually says repealer, which is why I missed it. So, yeah, it does say in section 5B, no abandoned, unregistered or untitled vehicles may be stored parked under any circumstance. And I would say that most of the ones in Brian's parking lot are not registered. And it would be nice to get rid of them.
So even though it's marina? This would apply.
Yes, it says, yeah, it's saying the accepted business rowing or boating clubs except
Got it.
that no abandoned, whatever.
Great.
Yeah. So we need some revisions. Kelly, if you want to take this back, you can, but if you want me to continue along with this particular ordinance and try to bring it to finish final, then I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Great, we're out of time.
Okay.
Thank you for continuing that.
Mhm.
Next item. 9C, discussion and possible action, vape shop ordinance with Mayor Rufiro.
The first one is, the goal is to restrict the amount of vape shops in Verona, and I would have to say yes on that. We don't wanna, like I brought it up, first, a couple months ago, it was on the news, Ross, I think it was Ross Township. They had 11 of them within, no, I'm sorry, 9 of them in the business district. There was 11, 9 of them was in the business district, and, you know, it's something we don't want. That's my personal opinion.
Mhm.
What constitutes a vape shop? I don't know. I think that's something that we should leave up to the attorney. I don't know much about them other than, really don't want them in town. You know, we can't say we don't want you in town. Let me rephrase that. But we don't need, you know, a string of them, you know, in the town. And that's where, and then the second part of that is Get-Go sells cigarettes and electronic cigarettes. Does this count? Once again, I think that should be an answer up to the attorney. I'm not a smoker, so I don't know. You know, more than likely it wouldn't affect that. I think the vape shops is with those bongs that they sell and, you know, they smoke out of and what have you. Well, that's what they call them. Back in my day, they used to use them for marijuana. Now they use them for anything now, you know?
Yeah, did anybody get a hold of the city's recently adopted one? I don't know whether that's public yet. It was on the news.
It is on the Pittsburgh City Council page. I can give some highlights because I understand this is being used as a model across the state, actually. So it's
Yeah,
a great place to
That
start.
might be, yeah.
Some things that they identified is school buffer zones, so not opening within 1,000 feet of schools. Zoning restrictions, so restricting new vape shops from opening in particular business areas. So that's something to think about if we don't want them in our downtown, perhaps. Operating hours, sales restrictions such as restricting self-service sales, which I think would be a good thing to consider. And then there's a couple exemptions for medical marijuana. One of the questions outlined in our section with questions is whether or not this applies to e-cigarettes. I don't know.
I would probably say no. I don't think that would apply to them. But I could be wrong. And the other thing in number 3, other communities have used feet to determine the minimum. I know that Craig and I have talked about this. I'm pretty sure 100% it was Ross Township. They're doing 3,000 feet. The city's doing 1,000 feet. And has to be away from a church, any school, and any other vape shop. So I would stick with the 3,000.
Do we know how many we have in Verona right now?
There was 2. We have one down at the shopping center, and there was one across from the old distillery, the bank, the old bank. But I believe that they shut down and now they sell records, vinyl records.
They need
Yeah.
to change their sign now, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, so we basically
vote
just
on it?
have one.
right.
That's good, unless we count Get-Go, but it doesn't sound like, yeah.
So everyone's in favor of the more restrictive 3,000 feet, looking at something like that.
I mean, we're a small business district. Can you imagine having 2 or 3 on red light to red light up here? That would destroy it. Huh?
We did,
Well,
so let's just vote on it. One,
Well, we need to have our ordinance to vote on. We don't have that yet.
3,000 feet.
But we can, take notes and tell Craig that we want to say 3,000, I guess.
Yes, and not within 3,000 feet of school, churches, or current vape shops. Are there any other location restrictions we want to add, such as not in our business?
Naturally, it would have to be in the business district.
Well, now that's a question though.
Can't put it in residential.
Yeah, but it's a zoning question, and we can't restrict any other businesses unless it's restricted by zoning laws. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you remember years ago, we went through this with some other kind of untoward business that we didn't want, massage parlors or something, like happy endings. And so we talked about it, and we were told by our zoning officer that if it's zoned for certain businesses to be allowed, that we couldn't, unless we completely changed our whole zoning. It was very hard to restrict. I don't remember all the specific details of that conversation, but we can do what we're saying with the 3,000 feet in school and churches with an ordinance, but I don't think that we can tell them that they cannot be here at all. I'm not sure that we could do
Right,
that.
as long as they comply within the 3,000 feet.
Yeah,
We could add or park.
yeah, park
That's what I did.
How far do you think that vape shop is now
from here,
from, let's say, Burner?
the one in the plaza?
Mhm.
Oh,
That's less than 3,000 feet.
less?
That's not 3,000 feet from the shopping center to Burner.
So one thing I want to keep in mind is Verona is half a square mile by half a square mile. Half a square mile is 2,600 feet.
I mean, you
Oh.
can't affect them. They're already there.
That'd be grandfathered in.
Yeah, so.
I have a quick question too, though. My church is on the main street.
Right, we're considering.
So we're
the
set.
churches and schools.
Okay.
Then I mean,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be any.
Then use the verbiage you're,
Okay.
Right.
should be good.
Okay, it sounds like we have enough of a guideline to put to Greg to put together. Very good. Look at us. We are out on time. Next item. 9D, discussion and possible action on a construction vehicle storage ordinance, also with Mayor Repeat.
Lately, we've had contractors come in, rip up streets, they leave their equipment here. We're not a parking lot for their equipment. Actually, we now own a excavator, a small excavator. It's been sitting there since they did some work on South Avenue. The chief contacted People's Gas, and they contacted the company that they had, I guess, to do the work for them, and it's not theirs. And I had the chief call and tow it down to the borough building, and it's been down there ever since. No one has claimed it. And there was another piece of construction equipment down there. It's been down off Larch Street. It was a big saw that cuts the asphalt, so they can do the work, and it's been sitting there probably since September. And then when I brought it up, all of a sudden it disappeared. Suddenly it was gone.
It was here all winter, yeah.
Yeah, it was down there all winter, and there's a pile of sand still there. And these companies come into town, and I think we should give them 10 days to remove their equipment. If not, we confiscate it. Or we
Storage fees.
we have it towed down to our, lot down at the borough building, and they start paying storage on it. At $100-$200 a day, and that's very fair.
Let's start with the railroad company, because not only this project, the project before. And I'm not putting myself out there that I have warrants, but I have warrants for unpaid parking tickets because I couldn't park there because of the railroad company. And when I tried fighting that with DeLuca, he said, well, you ought to take it up with the borough. He said, as of now, you have to pay him, so.
Well, unfortunately with railroads,
But it wasn't just the railroad using that. There was another company that was coming down here that was doing work up here, that was not working on the railroads or parking there.
well, they should, I agree with you 100%. They should check in with the borough, but unfortunately, the railroads, since the late 1800s, they have more.
1887.
Yeah. Vanderbilt started it. They have so much power with the federal government, it's not even funny.
But like I said, the lot of those were not, at least four of them that I know of were not railroad.
Right.
They were working down on Penn Avenue, they were working down on Arch Street, and they were working up here.
Right.
They weren't part of that project.
Yeah, so the railroad, you know, if you do pass this ordinance, they're gonna be exempt and they can bring all their equipment down here.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing we could do between Grant and James Street, we had the high weeds there along the bank by the railroad. And they said absolutely not, do not cut those down. So I made a point to contact our senator and no, Costin's congressman, right? State senator, yeah. And he said, that's, you know, he said, that's ridiculous. He says, I'm gonna look into it. So a day later, his aide called me back and he said, you were right, they do not have to cut their weeds. But we did eventually cut them. And, you know, whatever. But they have a lot of power. So, but I would encourage the borough to put something in place where you give a contractor 10 days to remove their equipment. We're not a storage unit.
10 days, would you impose a fee after 10 days?
Oh, most definitely. We would have the equipment towed and impounded at our lot down there, and they would be responsible for any towing of removal of any equipment, just like the one up on Center Avenue next to John's place, Mr. Jamelis's house there.
Mhm.
That big excavator that caught on fire, it sat there for months and months and months, and it would still be there if I didn't bring it up. And here they forgot about it.
And they, what was it, well, the insurance company owned it.
Yeah,
They forgot about it, and then the insurance company was supposed to get it.
So would you impose a fee and notify at 10 days? Or would you tow it? 10
no,
days?
I'm tired of notifying people. They come into town and say, you know, here, and you know what, we need, here's a paper that shows you have 10 days to remove all the equipment from, you know, when you're done with work, whether it's sewer, paving, whatever. They've been notified right there. It's a verbal warning. After that, they get cited and towed.
Okay,
Probably need a written warning.
Put it right on their vehicle, then
Yeah,
it's done.
You can't just call them up and say you have 10 days.
Well, they gotta come and get permits anyway, so you hand them the paperwork. You know, here's the rules you gotta follow by. You know what I mean?
right on that first paper. When finished, must remove.
And once again, that would be a legal thing. Since you're sitting in the chair, you're the attorney now.
Okay, so 10 days and then they're towed with a fee.
Yeah. They're responsible for any fees that occurred.
Does
So
everyone?
there'll be a fee when they're towed and then $100, $200 a day for storage.
Yeah,
And
you'll see how
if
fast it
you
comes.
don't pay it within another 30 days, that it's deemed that it
I
belongs.
don't know how
to the
that
borough.
works.
So they have to pay the towing fee, not
Yeah.
a fee, they have to pay the fee for being towed.
Towed plus
Whatever.
storage, plus storage.
Yeah. and-
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I know, I think salvage vehicles, when they tow a car, nobody claims, I think they gotta wait a year, then they're legally allowed to auction a car off. So,
Okay, so let's inquire what our options are. Can we auction it after a year? Can we own it after a period of time, et cetera?
That's
Probably
the
have to
best is you'd be suing them for
Break that.
$100 a day for a year. That'd be like well, I'll talk to Greg and see.
right,
I like the 250 because it'll get them to come or not come.
yeah.
Mhm. Okay, any other questions or comments from
And,
council?
and the other thing too is like with that excavator, there's really no, title. You know, you don't get a
Right.
title, you just pay.
When they start work, I think there would have to be some sort of form that they sign. Where if they,
Yeah.
if they don't, it would be like an abandoned equipment clause or
Right.
whatever.
Mhm.
If they abandon their equipment, they don't pick it up within a certain amount of time,
Give them
they
10 days.
forfeit it.
That's
It's gone.
plenty enough time, you're right.
Yeah.
Possible, right? Any other questions or comments on that? Moving on, 9E. Discussion and possible action on a noise ordinance with Councilor Rodriguez.
Tom's gonna speak.
Hello? Yeah. There.
Mr. Bond.
There we go. I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay. So this past weekend I worked and I went through nearly 24 ordinances. And I know in Craig's proposed ordinance, he has about a decimeter. I am 100% against that. there are a number of communities that don't even reference decimeters. It's just plain language. For instance, Katanning. I mean, you can't have loud music after 10 p.m. 50 feet could be heard 50 feet plainly from a residence. Um, Other than that, the ordinance is fine. Just remove the decimeter part.
Which is section 129-3. This is Oakmont's ordinance, by the way.
Right.
It's behind the boat ordinance.
Like I said, I have several dozen ordinances that I've researched, and I say by far, I think the best one that I've seen is Katanning Borough. And let me preface this: I've only researched borough ordinances, no townships or cities or anything like that, just to keep it in line with the borough of Verona. But by far, I would say that the Katanning Borough ordinance for noise is inclusive and detailed. And I think it's a guide that we should use to draft ours.
Was the decimeter thing brought up because the loud noise was considered to be subjective? Do you think?
Honestly, I don't know, but it's too difficult. I mean, like I said, for instance, using Katanning, if you can hear noise, loud music from the street, it's too loud. That means your neighbor's going to hear it. Let's
Right.
just be, do we want to be carrying around decimeters? Absolutely not.
No.
Common sense practice.
You know, the other thing too is, you have bands coming into town, like the, off the rails, they always have bands. What are we gonna do? Sit there and, okay, you gotta shut it down, you're too loud. I
Well,
mean,
I,
they
well,
do-
let me
Hours.
well let me speak to that. So we've had issues with a certain business in town regarding that, referencing liquor law. Well, unfortunately, we don't enforce liquor law. You have to call the LCB, because there is a provision regarding decibel levels from an establishment that serves alcohol. Well, we don't enforce that.
But the girl Bree that was here talking about that, the person that she's having issues with does have a reader, and that's kind of the problem. Like if your house shakes, you say that you're under the decibels, it's still a problem. It's rude. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Tom.
Right. And I believe in Craig's proposed ordinance, there's something about vibrations or whatnot. I don't have that in front of me because I don't have my laptop up. But that would be good. But just remove the decimeter portion.
Tom, what about the 129-4 about music coming from motor vehicles?
Oh, that would be good.
It says that if it's heard at 50 feet from such motor vehicle, but I think what I'm envisioning is that, cars drive by and it's pounding and all that, but they're gone in like 5 seconds.
No,
Absolutely.
None.
Not on our street.
Do they park their car and play their music?
Yeah. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
All right.
Yeah.
And we need to have time constraints too, outlined.
What are the time constraints?
I don't know, it depends if it's a weekday or a weekend. I mean, I don't have, an objection to the rails or down by the marina having loud music until, I don't know, 10, 9 on a weekday and 11 or 12 on a weekend, but that's just me because it doesn't bother me, but whatever you guys decide, we should have some kind of time constraints so the guys know when to enforce and when not to enforce.
Yeah, you're right, because we've had concerts in the park.
Yeah.
And they would last till 10
Well,
o'clock.
do we limit that use of the subwoofers and all that kind of stuff in like residential zones after a certain amount of time? Like after like, let's say 10 o'clock at night or whatever? Is that something that we could do or?
Do you know what Katanning's has for time?
10 o'clock weekdays, 11 o'clock weekends.
11 o'clock.
I would say that's fair enough.
Until what time in the morning?
Seven or 8. It depends on weekdays, weekend mornings. Honestly, I would say weekdays, 10 to 7, weekends, 11 to 8. And then obviously Sundays play a factor. There are certain provisions in different noise ordinances. Like I said, I don't have Craig's in front of me, but Sundays, it's a little later. People like to sleep in. And then obviously there's also a provision regarding construction. You don't want your neighbor putting on a new roof at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Send this to you guys. I got.
The Katanning one?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, so, actually, I don't think this one from Oakmont has any time limits in it that I can see. So I'm missing it. I don't know, honestly, I think 11's a little early for the weekend, but that's just me.
What about penalties? One of the questions.
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
You know what Tanning says about like, they get a ticket or a citation or a,
Obviously, you should start with a warning first, but it needs to be progressive. And I would think that that's something, not every community does everything the same. It's whatever you see fit. I mean, I'd say the average is $50 first offense and then a sliding scale up to $300. And you would give that discretion to the magistrate, plus court costs. Now, as it stands right now, the only thing that we can do is a summary disorderly conduct, which is the criminal thing. Now, listen, if you're having a party, I don't think it's justified giving a non-traffic disorderly conduct ticket to someone for a loud party. That's, and let's be honest, a non-traffic, most of it goes to the state. We rather use an ordinance where it all comes to the borough.
Okay, where are we with this? Do we want to review Katannings and others for next?
Yeah, definitely.
I can scan them tomorrow morning and send them to everyone.
okay,
Sure, thank you.
okay, so that's our next steps. Review.
Any other questions or
Yeah,
comments on that?
The other one, on that, with that one as well. There is also and I know we're approaching certain holidays, 4th of July, there's certain special holidays where, people are lighting off fireworks.
Mm.
That also plays into this.
We have
Thing as
something
well,
in
so what
place for that.
How are we going to approach that issue as well? Because that plays into the noise ordinance as well. So what are we gonna do about that as well? I mean, I know there's people that are lighting them off,
Yes.
middle of the night.
Absolutely right.
We already have something for that, I believe, don't we?
Yes, we have an ordinance on file for fireworks.
Okay. Great, if there's no other questions or comments, we'll move on to the next item. Item 9F, discussion and possible action on a no solicitation ordinance, also with Calvin Rodriguez.
What do we want to know about that? I think no soliciting at all unless you are a nonprofit, like a Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts.
I have no problem with that.
And,
I don't care about.
and is there an exception for campaigning material?
I don't want that on my door. Tell you that.
But I thought there was, what's that?
That's not soliciting.
It's not considered soliciting.
Soliciting is the act of selling something door to door. Campaigning isn't selling. But I don't know if you could do something with that.
No, you can't. I already thought on that once before.
So campaign materials are allowed.
Yeah.
And anything from a nonprofit is allowed. Other than that, is everybody cool with nothing?
Does that would include churches, like, religious groups?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
nonprofit.
Don't
They're
know.
nonprofit, though.
They'll probably still come, but I have signs at my door. They don't come.
Okay,
The other people, the salespeople will.
right.
And they don't leave. They're
They're
here
rude.
till 9 o'clock. They are very rude.
Okay,
I
I think,
would only make the exception on sales if they pre-registered and they would come only certain, like specific, like a short window of time that they would have,
But they don't come down because I've asked for permits. Well, my boss has it. He's done it the other end. We'll call your boss and they walk away. So they don't have to permit.
yeah, if I may, I think part of this ordinance is to clarify to police that it's not allowed versus causing an extra administrative check that is almost never completed anyway. So if we're in agreement, I would suggest we have Craig draft perhaps the simplest ordinance of a bunch.
And also,
No solicitation, so.
when you're talking to Craig on that, do we need to have a sign at all three entrances to run and no soliciting? Because I see a lot of communities have signs, no soliciting permitted within borough limits or something like that.
I see Jacob's question. Any other questions or comments?
I wanted to ask Tom, does that sound good? Like, my question would be, if we do see somebody, will you ticket them and not give them a warning now if we have this?
So most of the people I should say all the people that we deal with that come into the borough to solicit are from out of state. They're working for a company. They don't know. Their supervisors are literally dropping them off in the middle of town saying, hey, go solicit for Verizon or whatever the heck they're soliciting for. You're doing your job. If they're repeat, which we haven't had, knock on wood, fingers crossed, we tell them, hey, get the heck out, away we go. Now we've had on a few occasions where they'll argue, well, we'll come and get a permit. Now, let's be honest. Does anyone want someone coming to their house for solar panels or windows? It's 2026. You can look this stuff up. That's where we have the issue where a lot of people become confrontational, where we want this, we want that, we want to do this. It's a simple blanket. We don't do it. Go away. To answer your question, I don't feel comfortable citing someone that's only doing their job unless they do it again after being warned to leave town and not solicit.
Okay, I don't know that we need to spell that out in the ordinance, but the police can certainly exercise discretion. Do we want to spell out hours for the non-residents?
I think the ordinance as it stands is fine. Use the same thing. Why reinvent the wheel? Whatever it says currently in the ordinance, let's just use it again for the hours, dates, times, fees, all that.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Moving right along then, thank you. 9G is discussion possible action on the dangerous pet ordinance. Councilor Rodriguez.
There is an example in your notebook from Cheswick.
Yeah, that's the one I put in there. So the recent issue and such. So basically, say that's my house and I have this dangerous dog.
Mhm.
Three residents can write to us and then we can deem that dangerous, basically is how that would work. Craig was gonna give you more information, but so we could talk about it, the next meeting, but that's basically if you go to their, if you go to Cheswick's, it does say that under
Chapter 88.
88-21.
Okay.
And then let's see, it says then there's A and B, and then under B it says number 1, and then it says about how if you have 3 affidavits of complaints against potential dangerous dogs, they have to be signed by 1 or more residents in the borough. And that's basically how we do that.
Made under oath before an individual authorized by law to take sworn statements. That makes it kind of, what's the word? Difficult for the people who are signing the thing.
It's
That they
also
have to go
quicker.
and have an oath.
But it's also quicker because the way this works, so she's
Notaries can do
she's waiting for like court dates. You have to wait. I mean, that could be over a year, and in the meantime, like in the next one that we're dealing with is the fence ordinance. They took the fence down. So now you got another dog here with children right across the street. Do you know what I mean? So
So you're saying that doing it this way by them having to go under oath, or like you're saying, just.
it'd be quicker than going to court.
Quicker than going to court.
That way you could protect the community quicker until, they have their.
I'm still thinking it's gonna be an even quicker way.
I'm confused. I just want to pose a question. While municipalities can have local ordinances regarding dogs, Pennsylvania state laws take precedence for officially declaring a dog dangerous. So how does that interact with this? Yeah, it says after injury, like the unfortunate one we had, the state will investigate and likely impose ramifications, including annual registration of the dangerous dog, $5 fee, clearly posting signs and muzzling leashing the dog.
Yeah, which would be, so if that dog's ever outside, it has to be muzzled at all times.
Right.
Which would have been
No, so
great, that guy wouldn't have had to, put his pet down, he could have done it that way, but chose not to. Just saying, that's just an option, that way, if we ever had something like that again, it would be a quicker step. To prevent what just happened, before somebody got injured or.
I'm wondering if you've read this, does it say anything in here about a dangerous dog injuring other dogs? Cause I saw somewhere it talked about injuring humans, but what about injuring or killing other dogs?
There is in this one. No, it basically gets into the licensing, confinement, let's see. And then the muzzling, that'd be a whole different topic then, because this part is just basically to get to deem the dog dangerous, is kind of where we're at. There's other things you put in it, but I didn't get into that.
Oh, here it says under 8815. Under potentially dangerous dog B. Threaten the safety of human beings or domestic animals. So there you have it.
This is actually really nice of you guys. If you guys want me to send it to you, we could just copy this whole thing. It's actually really nice.
The one from Cheswood?
Yeah, like they even have the dogs running at large. We don't really have that problem. We had that one problem with that one that's always out, but I haven't seen it well. Penn Hills could probably use this, but because there's a lot of running dogs at large there, but it's good to have. Like if we took this whole thing, it'd probably be a good thing to do while we're at it.
So there's also is a section here on the confinement
Yeah.
of dangerous dogs.
Yeah, she just talked about the muzzle.
It says must be securely confined indoors or a securely enclosed or locked pen or structure suitable to prevent the entry of young children and designed to prevent the animal from escaping.
Okay.
Such pen or structure must have a minimum dimension of 5 feet by 10 feet and must have secure sides and a secure top. It has no bottom secured to the sides must be embedded into the ground no less than 2 feet. The enclosure must also provide protection from elements for the dog, from the elements for the dog.
Yeah. And then the next one that we're going over, H, is the fence thing.
Well, this plays into the.
Yes, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so it's,
You're looking at 88-24.
Yes, 88-24.
Craig and I were talking, I don't think you can make somebody get this.
So this is kind of
That's
an
the
all
problem.
encompassing
Right. So like,
ordinance.
what do you do here? That
Yeah.
guy still has another dog. I wouldn't go near it, to tell you that. And now there's kids across the street who took his fence down. This is like the perfect scenario.
Well, his current dog is not deemed a dangerous dog, right?
But neither was the other.
I understand.
That's why this would help. Because if, they knew prior, then we could have handled it differently.
Sure.
I do appreciate the quantification described in this ordinance in 88-15. It's less subjective. So a dangerous dog is any dog when unprovoked chases or approaches a person upon the streets in a menacing fashion or apparent attitude of attack. It doesn't say 3 though, but it says that any dog with a known propensity, tendency, or disposition to attack unprovoked to cause injury or otherwise threaten the safety of human beings or domestic animals. And then it does have a 3-strike approach with C, any dog which on 3 separate occasions within a 12-month period has been observed by the borough animal control officer or police officer being unrestrained or uncontrolled off its owner's premise, or been impounded by the dog catcher or police officer for being unrestrained or uncontrolled off of its owner's premise. How do we feel about that clarification?
People have to start being responsible.
Well,
Yeah, I don't have any,
Part C,
I mean, when we have kids and people in danger, I don't.
yeah.
part C is interesting though. It just says if they're running loose.
Mhm.
It doesn't say that they're doing anything other than running loose.
Right.
But I mean,
The other two. are
we do have
sort
that
of
if
thing.
somebody specifically.
I know,
And that's our
and-
problem.
Yeah,
It is a problem. And it could also result in a dangerous situation.
But it's tried to attack many times, so.
Do we prefer this more all-encompassing approach to this ordinance?
I think their whole thing would be just a copy and paste. It just seems like it makes, why would we just do one part, given all of it is a good thing?
I would agree. Think, this looks like it covers a lot of, issues.
Okay.
Prevent.
Yeah, it even covers the enclosure. And you don't really have to go to. The thing that I like about it is a potentially dangerous dog. So you don't really have to go fly deep into the court system to try to determine what a dangerous dog is. You have to go into, a potentially dangerous dog, you get, it says here. Clearly says here, any dog which, when unprovoked, chases or approaches a person upon the streets, sidewalks, or any public or private property in a menacing fashion or apparent attitude of attack.
where are you reading?
This is in the definitions in 8815. Any dog with a known propensity, tendency, or disposition to attack unprovoked, to cause injury or to otherwise threaten the safety of human beings or domestic animals.
Yeah. That would.
I have a couple of follow-up questions too. Do you read like the licensing requirement for dog that's declared
I
dangerous?
was just thinking about that is the same issue that permitting boats has, and that is what's gonna happen here for our part-time administrative assistant person to be able to follow all that.
We're at the 10-minute mark.
Okay. And I mean, not necessarily dangerous dogs, but don't people with dogs already pay licenses for those dogs?
You're supposed to.
Not
Yeah.
the bird.
No, I know, not to the borough.
So I hear you're concerned about administrative burden, however, theoretically, there are not many dangerous dogs. Hopefully there's very few.
Yeah.
So I think that would be okay. What do we think about the fees? 88-28. Not less than 50, not more than 1,000, or imprisonment for 30 days. Oh, that's for violations. Yes.
Yes, the fees are back on the page. Under 8823, it outlines all of the license fees and so on and so forth.
Sorry, there was multiple fees. Dangerous dog permit fee is $50, and then there's a license fee for your dangerous dog proposed of $100 per year. And then violations are 50 to 1,000 and/or imprisonment.
That's nothing.
So this one, what I'm hearing is that's gonna be modeled after chess whips and have Craig just kind of rework it, so.
Yeah, is there anything, it does read as encompassing, which is a little complex, so I wasn't sure if we needed everything. Do we want to keep the confinement of dangerous dog section?
I would,
Okay. Places of detention.
Hard to enforce this though,
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna.
yeah. And did you get an answer to your question about state laws? They supersede?
No. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I mean, this is in place though.
Also, my question on this ordinance, is this primarily enforced by the police department, or is it a code enforcement thing? I guess with the pen, it would be a code enforcement, right? And then I guess with the actual, with the dog would be the police.
Seems like since it's all encompassing, it's a little bit of all
Oh.
three. It's administrative, code enforcement, and
Yeah.
police. Because if they don't pay their yearly fee, we have to go after them for.
Feeling that this is very important and urgent, but still a bit nebulous. What does council want to do with this? Do we want to have Craig kind of copy and paste with a couple things clarified, or do we want to continue to workshop it?
Are there,
Section 23 is a lot to take in right here right now.
licensing requirements?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because then, first of all, what do they do if they don't license their dog? Secondly, in section E, it says revocation of license and all this, and then you wonder, well, people who are gonna own dangerous dogs, are they gonna follow these rules? Probably not.
This could also be a question I asked Cheswick directly,
Oh, yeah.
see if they'd be willing to share some information.
Also, the
Would
the
you?
the insurance, how is that enforced? The insurance, how do we enforce whether or not they have insurance or bond for the
Yeah, they
dangerous dogs? Do we,
provide proof of insurance, I guess, right?
that's an administrative
Right,
thing for us every year.
like, hopefully, again, there aren't that many.
They'll probably
Yeah.
not get insurance if, like, this recent.
Yeah.
One question we can ask Cheswick too is how many dangerous dogs do you currently have? Because I think that's, administratively, are we looking at one dangerous dog, 10, 100, I mean, if it's 100 with the fees that are imposed, certainly we could pay more staff just to administer that, but, I think that having that information would also be helpful.
Perfect. And if you can get any clarity on how the state law interplays with their local ordinance, that would be helpful. So it looks like we'll be tabling this to July.
Yeah, I think we could look at this and just any questions we have on it, we can just,
Yes.
but I mean, it looks good. Most of it looks good.
Great.
I think we could use it as a blueprint.
Right, time to move on.
Okay.
Section 9H, related discussion and possible action on a fence ordinance. Council Rodriguez.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
So we can't force anybody to do that. That's,
Do you have any example fence ordinances?
I'm on here now, and it typically says in Pennsylvania, a borough can not typically force you to build a fence simply for owning a dog, but you can mandate it be securely contained, leashed, and under strict command. Like, it says tiles, invisible fences, which are a horrible idea. And then says, or rather than a physical fence. That's kind of the problem we're at, because the guy just took the fence down. I don't think that you can do anything about it. As far as I'm concerned, but I mean, that would be a Craig thing.
So you're saying there's not really any examples? Yeah, I mean, there's zoning requirements for fences that you build just to build, that has something to do with the dog. They can only be so high, otherwise you have to get a building permit, so on and so forth, things like that.
I couldn't really find anything about.
You could not,
No,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean. If Leanne said that she found some, but I have not.
Yeah.
I have not found any. It just says mostly like, restrictions and what you can do.
Okay, so we can certainly ask Craig if he's familiar with any fence ordinances related to this, but in the meantime, would you also look / check with again if she has one? For that to us, we can continue that in July.
And would that be similar to 88-24, this previous thing we talked about? As far as the confinement of dangerous dog.
Yeah,
Because
I
they
like
have,
that.
because they have to,
Yeah.
you know, because they clearly have specifications on how to confine a dangerous dog in Chester under this. Now, I don't know if we could find something similar to that in other townships or.
Challenge is on, if anyone
Right.
can find,
Actually,
actually, everyone look, if anyone can find this, this would be very helpful given our situation.
Okay.
All right, any other questions or comments on that? Not, we'll be moving on to the next item. Last but not least. Item 9I. Discussion and possible action on code enforcement policy. Note the word policy.
Okay, not ordinance.
Yes.
Do we have enough draft on that yourself?
Yes. Yes, but I would like to open up the discussion on this item with prefacing that obviously code enforcement is often at the top of most of our minds, and many issues have come up as of late, particularly related to the common things we see in warmer weather, such as tall grass, weeds, and some issues with dumpsters. Recently, we have realized that due to us also trying to exercise fiscal responsibility, our part-time code enforcement officer, as per his contract, currently acts on a reactive basis. So he responds to the tip sheets that are submitted to the audience. So there is an absence of proactive kind of driving around just to look for things. We will be continuing to work through that and in future contracts and with budget discussions to see if there's an opportunity to change that down the road. But for the time being in the summer, thing one, we want to encourage everyone to submit all the tip sheets. This is also available online as well as in the office in the lobby area for problem issues. We'd rather have five people submit one than no one submit one thinking that someone else is taking care of it. So we encourage everyone's proactivity and identifying these issues and keeping our community beautiful. But we also thought that perhaps we could work together to find a more effective internal resolution to certain issues that we deem as perhaps public safety issues, longstanding issues, or otherwise more urgent issues, particularly as may be identified by the mayor, to forward directly to our chief to take action case by case basis. But to work in harmony with the administrative office and the system that we've developed with iWork. We thought we should draft a policy that just spells this out a little bit more clearly. And so from year to year, it's very clear what we are doing and who is handling which code items. So we had a meeting with the mayor and we drafted this draft policy. I'll just read through it quickly. It's relatively short, but the purpose of this policy is to not only establish our consistent process for identifying, tracking, resolving community concerns, but we also want to do that while making the best use of our borough staff and resources.
Bigger. If not, it's okay, just this one.
I think it's bigger on my screen.
Okay, that's all better. Excellent, thank you.
So as mentioned in previous discussions both with Jamie and in general, our preferred approach obviously is to educate, give everyone again the benefit of the doubt, aim for voluntary compliance and enforcement when that is necessary. So again, we do have a system managed through iWork, of which Teresa, our principal assistant, largely spearheads, of course, Jacob and with others as issues are brought to her attention. But these are some of the most commonly cited issues. Again, high grass, trash, debris, sidewalk property issues, abandoned vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. So again, we want everyone to submit. We also had a discussion about DPW and if it would be possible for the borough's workers as kind of being a first line of observation, since they are often out in the community, particularly in the summer, cutting grass and attending to other community needs. So I don't know if we were able to get feedback on whether or not they would. I assume this is something they may already be doing anyway, but if there's any concerns with just asking for their cooperation with our process, perhaps to expand it to leave door hangers as well. So escalation criteria. So if the issue at hand is immediate health or safety concern, such as creating a public hazard or posing an immediate risk to public safety or as a dangerous structure, or a chronic non-compliance, so multiple ignored notices, repeat violations or observations, which is long-term property neglect, then in those cases, the mayor would be able to, of course, with letting the administrative office know, forward that directly to our police chief, who could then go ahead and cite that issue. We also try to incorporate some positive improvements, like a positive incentive. But I don't know if we do that.
So this is a little different.
Go ahead.
I have a question where it says, you scroll down, which is fine, where it says notification and door hanger. What does it say on those? Cut your grass, you got 10 days to cut your grass, you're gonna be fined, or what? What does it actually say?
Our current door hangers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what they say.
I've not seen any current door hangers that we know. They'd have to be created. Unless I can find them, you know.
Oh, I thought he was putting them
I
on.
thought we had door
Yeah,
hangers.
no, we haven't too.
I think Nancy said that we used to have door hangers.
Back in 2021, we tried that method with one of the guys we had. I liked it, you know, because it was a nice way to keep track of things that was less cumbersome. Because you tore off the thing, I attached it to a piece of paper because the little thing was only this big. And then, you know, you could make a form or something and then check off, like, which of these things is appropriate. Did they follow through? Did they not follow through? You know, that kind of thing.
Well, was there a timeline on there that the borough gave? 5 days, 2 days?
Then I can't remember what it
See,
was.
that's my problem as far as the timeline. You know, cut your grass, you know, to clean your property up. You know, it should be hours, 24 hours, you know,
Right.
48 hours.
Who's following up on that?
Exactly.
But what
not-
if they're elderly
That's
and
a
they can't do
question.
it? You also have to think of that side too. Like that guy that we were talking about the other day at Second. I mean, or whoever that is. We shouldn't cut grass. They should just be fined and. You know,
Oh, exactly, that's what I mean.
ridiculous. But I mean, in other circumstances, we also have to think about the
Well,
other side.
maybe we could, you know, figure on each case, you know, if they are elderly and disabled, then, you know, we could.
I'll go cut it. I'll help them. I mean, if I can, you know, I mean, we should all.
It's like something needs to be done. I mean, it's ridiculous, a lot of these properties, the way they are, and they're owned by people that rent them. Like I said, there's we talked about the ones on Second Street. That grass is probably, you know, a foot, well, it's more than a foot. It's probably 3 foot high.
Did we
501
find
and
them yet?
505, I believe it is, second, 601 and 605, I believe
Did
it
they
is.
go there yet?
What's that?
Did anybody go there yet?
I don't know.
I feel like that's the problem. It takes so long.
Well, that's the problem. We need to cut that out. You know, but my chief acted on, I told back on that one on Ridge Avenue. Boy, the guy got a dumpster, but he was cleaning his house side, not the property. So the chief started citing him, and boy, the next thing you know, it got cleaned up real fast. That's how you get people's attention. Start finding them, not handing them a, you know, letter, hey, you gotta cut your grass, you gotta clean your yard. Cause now it's gonna take 5 days and you gotta send a registered letter on. And they might not get it back for another 2, 3 days, you know, the receipt that somebody picked it up, if they pick it up. That's all time. We need to do it, you know. Let's set a precedence throughout the, the community, throughout communities. That we're not, we're gonna move on this.
So if I'm recalling correctly, if DPW supported the overall code enforcement effort, they would be limited, of course, compared to the police. So they could do door hangers, but they obviously would not be citing. So I think that was why they had door hangers under their enforcement options, but we could leave DPW out of our picture right now. We
Right.
can flesh that out more.
Right.
You can put a notice in the newsletter and explain to the people, you have this many days to clean it up, or else we're forced to bind you.
Yeah, and if it was a situation where someone needed help, we should add a provision where they
You know,
could contact us.
My whole view on this is we wanna, our scope is to try to get the town to clean up, which we don't wanna make it into a money-making thing. And I know we're gonna have residents who are gonna probably get fined that are gonna push back on it a lot.
Mhm,
Our scope is to try to get people to change behavior.
absolutely.
So it's good to at least give them a warning, so if the DPW spots this or whatever, they could, do these door hangers and issue a warning and say, hey, the next time, it's unfortunately, you're probably gonna get cited.
Well,
When this happens,
We also have to make
just
sure-
make sure get that grass cut or get the.
Let me ask the chief on his feelings on this. Is he still on? Yeah.
There we go. A vast majority of these properties are not people that reside in the borough of Verona.
Wait.
So for instance, you bring up Second Street. The guy lives in Pittsburgh. Last year, DPW cut the grass on Second Street. Should we be giving this guy another warning? Absolutely not. We should be citing him every day. Every day. The grass is 2 feet high. Most of these properties are not residents. They should be cited every time. They should be getting a warning every every summer for tall grass. That's not acceptable. They know what the standard is, yet we're going to give a door hanger, we're going to give a warning letter, and then we're going to give a citation. Well, they know every year we're doing this game. It's a game. So I think these problem properties that we continually deal with need to have more aggressive action taken against them, because it's obviously a continuation year after year, summer after summer.
Well, I agree. The repeat offenders, absolutely.
But how do you do that when this guy's barely here?
Right, so I also, Tom, I want to be considerate of like the bandwidth of you and your staff.
Oh no, I get it, but for instance, we'll use the Ridge. I talked to him personally. He gave me lip service. Well, guess what? As soon as he got citations every day, he cleaned it up real quick. That a warning letter didn't do anything, wouldn't have done anything. A door hanger wouldn't have done anything. He needed enforcement action. And guess what? As soon as enforcement action took place, he cleaned it up.
So I think we are talking about like two separate things. With DPW though, like the Ridge thing, that was an unusual circumstance. It was like there was a very pressing need for it. The DPW, the door hanger thing is more long-term as a supplemental method along with this part-time code enforcement officer that we have. Which, if it's council's directive to have him issue citations as he sees things, we can certainly have a conversation with Jamie. However, the written notice is in place to protect us and the residents. Kind of to Kelly's point, we don't want it as, if an elderly person doesn't cut their grass, we instantly cite them and go through the process. We need to give people proper notice. We look for compliance first, as of right now.
A question on that, so if DPW were to hand out door hangers, would we want to track that, or would that be more educational information?
It's implementing a process like that, I think it would have its value. I think there would be a lot of questions that would need answered first before a program like that would start. I think, it would be something good for next summer to look at doing.
Yeah.
Especially considering, we have contracts and things in place.
Mhm.
I think it's worth really considering as a very preliminary start to code enforcement to assist Jamie in, maybe then he doesn't have to write a letter if one was already written, or, if something was sent out by DPW in the way of a door hanger.
No, is this street department, they keeping their time and hours and everything on the grass that we already are cutting? And what are we doing about that as far as charging or putting a lien on these homes?
So that's why this was on the
Properties,
agenda,
I should say.
I believe, is that we need a mechanism for a dollar amount attached to DPW services when they're cutting the grass. It is a very lengthy process to take these people to court because these are vacant lots. There's no name attached.
Then we
to
need
many
to,
of them.
then, as I said before, then we need to start assuming these properties. If there's no name to them, and we could sell them, I don't care if we spend 25,000, like I said, on solicitor fees. And if we get these properties, then we could start selling them for $10,000. And we'll get our money back from what the solicitor put into them.
So-
I'm tired of looking at these properties.
I think Tom has a question.
And then I think that's just
The comments up from before.
so
Sure.
it's a lengthy process, but having a dollar amount associated with that, I think would help the justification.
But $125 a cut.
But that's something that council needs to make a policy revolving that, at what point, how long do we have to cut the grass on a property before we go for legal action? Is it once, twice, 10 times,
We've been doing it for years, so.
but that's some guidance that we need to start.
Things are happening, simultaneously. They're cutting the grass while they're following through the process with the citations and things like that. There's still, in an ideal world and on some of the properties in town that they've been cutting over the years, they cut them. I don't know how that's being kept track of, really not sure.
Okay.
We really need to work on this, we
Yeah.
really do. Just like that lady on Spruce Street, Leslie, the house next to her, it's abandoned now, lady died. There's no will, she has a son, but he can't do nothing legally because it wasn't willed to him. I look at it every day, I sit on my porch and there's weeds crawling all over the house now. It's a third, 3 stories. And something needs to be done.
Look at the one on Ridge.
Except there's many, I'm just.
It's
So
ridiculous.
we are at time with this item. I'm gonna suggest we continue to workshop it. Tom, I may have you review this as well. At this point, it sounds like we will leave DPW out of the equation to be revisited later this year or next year, perhaps in kind of contract negotiations.
I know we're out of time, I just wanna say one other thing, let's be careful how much more we can give for Teresa to do. I'm starting to understand a little better, why we might need some more part-time work in there, because, there's just so much one person can do and they only work 25 hours a week,
That's the problem.
It's something that Jason recommended as
Yep.
long-term, as something that, if we want to look at moving away from Jamie, look for a full-time code enforcement officer, it would require a lot of work, but there's a chance that it could be, the cost could be negated through some of the fees that we're collecting. for
True.
different things.
true.
But that's something that, I don't think we could do this year. We'd have to look at for next year and really evaluate how much the cost benefit of having somebody.
Were you suggesting full-time code or additional part-time?
I'm not particular, either way works for me, I just know that Teresa has a lot of work and now she has a little more to deal with herself, so. But a full-time code person would then be coming in every day, sitting down at the computer and following up on all these things and have it all in their head, because that's all they'd be doing. And that might be the better option, might be a little more expensive option than a part-time person maybe who's just here to help out with code. Cause this is a lot of work.
So I think we
Yeah.
absolutely are in agreement that come budget discussion, we want to consider full-time code.
The thing we'd have to consider is would we be able to recover enough funds
Cost benefit.
in code enforcement to justify having a full-time code officer in town?
Yes.
And would it make sense for us to do that? You know,
Yes.
and you have to consider not just the salary, but you're talking about the benefits too. You have to pay the benefits.
Absolutely.
And a vehicle, probably to have the person drive around.
True.
That's what I was asking. You have to purchase or
Right.
they need some mode of transportation.
Well,
Yeah.
what does he do now? We can make it 35 hours. So they're not.
He uses his
like we
own
did
car,
the-
right?
So in the interim, we will continue to workshop this policy in an attempt to maximize our internal staff resources to maximize our output of code.
Oh, and at some point, we should consider having a land-based person come in and start. Do a presentation to everybody about how they handle.
Please get that on any workshops with the community meeting. Oh, I was also
Okay.
gonna say, if we can financially support it, I think we're open, Jacob, if you want to put it on our agenda to discuss the hiring of a second administrative part-time person
Or an intern.
and an intern. Please feel empowered to go ahead and put that on the agenda. So item J, motion to proceed on any of the prior items. If I have this correct, we are motioning to proceed with drafts and voting to advertise items 9C, vape shop ordinance, 9D, construction vehicle ordinance, 9F, no solicitation ordinance, 9G, dangerous pet ordinance.
Okay, we don't have a final version of any of those ordinances, so I don't see how we can vote to add.
We are not voting advertise, we are voting
Well, I thought
to
that's what you
proceed
said.
with Craig putting together a version. for
Ah.
the Next meeting that we then. vote to
Okay, I
advertise.
thought you.
This is to help streamline the process and provide clear direction. to
Okay.
Jacob. Did I have those all correct? Do I need to repeat?
Say the letters.
We are motion to proceed on the following items. We are proceeding with item 9C, vape shop. 9D, construction vehicle ordinance. 9F, no solicitation ordinance. 9G, dangerous pet ordinance.
You're not doing the vote?
Oh, tell me, are we? I wasn't under the impression. we were
Oh, and the
workshopping.
noise. Aren't you doing the noise?
No, I have that written.
They put down.
I put them to the noise because we're gonna model that for hearings. That was there.
We're including the noise,
C, D, E, F, G.
C, D, E, F, G.
Well, I have sent to Craig and for the vote to get rid of the permitting section. And, but I think we're okay with
It's up to
that.
you with B, it's your item, I thought you had to workshop it, do you want to move forward with B as well?
My notes, unless I wrote it down wrong, I think everybody was okay, but to get rid of the permitting section
Everybody okay?
with B, with the vote one.
Okay,
Okay, looks like everything's a yes.
okay, so at this time, I will accept a motion to proceed on items 9B through 9G. Is
Okay,
there-
so we are doing the noise then.
Yes, including.
Oh, perfect.
Is there a motion to proceed with those items?
All right, I'll make a motion to proceed with items 9B through 9G.
First by Counselor Carpenter.
I will second that motion.
Second by Counselor Canal, thank you. Is there any additional questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead with item 11, action item. On May 12th, Counselor Tim Long submitted his letter of resignation from council. citing health concerns. At this time, I will accept a motion to accept Council Long's resignation.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilor Sperling. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Rodriguez. Questions or comments? Of course, we want to thank you, Tim, for your service to the borough, both on council and in many other capacities as well. We wish you the best. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Motion carries. With that, we will return to comments from the public. Once again, council will hear comments on public related matters. Please approach the podium or raise your virtual hand. Clearly state your name and address and try and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Comments should focus on borough business, policies, or actions. Council encourages thoughtful feedback on decisions and performance while maintaining respectful and constructive dialogue. Mr. Ward.
On Ward 66 Third Avenue. We had a code enforcement policy. I don't know if we're still following that or not. We had regulated rental policies, inspections, fees, yearly fees for having rental properties. And we had a record of their domicile, where they live. We had their email address, their phone numbers, and so on and so forth. Are we still following that policy?
They're doing regulated rentals, or
How much money have we generated from that? Because that would solve a lot of your financial problems in this area.
It's something that, as far as I'm aware, we're behind on. Part of that is the administrative hours associated with it. And why I kind of brought to council of needing additional help, because it's a very large task that usually gets put, behind other immediate concerns that are popping up.
Well, it's like a volcano ready to erupt. It's building up here to a point where it might become more of a problem than not. This town has over 50% of the homes in this town are rentals. And out of that, a large percentage, probably 60, 70, maybe 90% of those owners are out of towners. And a good example of that is near my house on 2nd Avenue at the bottom of 2nd and Wood. That's where the grass is probably 3 feet high. I think the deer are hiding in there. So come down here and shoot some deer if you want. No, that's cruel. But the regulated rentals, that was designed by me, my wife Rhoda, and her sister Denise, as civilians to help out the borough. So there's a good example of community effort on the part of civilians to help the town. Those kind of projects could be expanded. You just got to get innovative and start, quit discussing and start doing, I think. And I'm not trying to be critical here, but these issues have to start you have to start prioritizing your problems. And that's, again, the volcano issue here. It's a volcano ready to explode because it's been ignored and for whatever reason. And that's about all I have to say. As far as door hangers, that's early 20th century thinking here. We should have email addresses, phone numbers, and so on, text messages. Document those kinds of issues and use that as a technique to notify the owners. If they don't live in town, they're not going to see a door hanger. In the situation near my house, there's no one living there, and and people are out of towners. And I don't know how you're going to contact somebody, in that situation. Don't wait for them. You have to take action on them. So you're working in the right direction, but let's prioritize this and maybe revamp the regulated code policies, and that would solve a lot of our problems.
Thank you, Donald.
Thank you.
It's done.
Are there any other comments from the public? Ms. G.
Judy Williams, 534 Ridge Avenue, Rowan, PA, my left one. Do we have somebody to fill in for Tim Long now that he's not here? Seeing as though there's only like 6 people and we would need to have at least 7.
Are you interested?
No.
We'll have a process going on with President Redzek's application form.
I think you came in a little late, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was starting at 7. It's just what always starts at 6.
It's a common source of confusion because we made it earlier this year, anticipating it being longer. So the second meeting on the third Tuesday will be at 6.
At 6, okay.
But to answer your question, we have an application packet. It'll be online probably tomorrow and then available in the office for this vacancy and all future vacancies. We hope it's a new process.
Okay. Put a text message out.
Yes.
So the vacancy is and whatever,
Yes.
a link or something.
And I'm just gonna put my name out there if you guys do need help with anything. Other than like having to be on council all the time. I'm willing to help out if where it needs to be. I'm retired now, so I can afford to give a little more time to the stuff.
Can I talk to you after?
Sure.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a computer, but I'm trying to find a program that's like inexpensive right now.
Yeah.
And because I do a lot for my church too, so. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the public? Comments from the public, any online? Don't see any online. With that, at this time, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Councilor Buckner, second
Second.
by Councilor Furley. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you everyone for coming out tonight.